Hi everyone, I'm Lisa with Down to Earth Gardening and Design. Welcome to our video today, which is on how to make an easy DIY holiday arrangement for your table. So we're going to be doing a centerpiece out of things that you may have around the house. So we're going to make a budget-friendly or maybe even a free centerpiece for your holiday table. It could be just for holiday decor, or it could be a great hostess gift. So I'm going to be using mine on my Christmas dinner table as part of my tablescape. And for me, it's a great time of year to do this because I'm running around, rushing, probably as you are, and spending a lot of money on Christmas gifts. So it's great to be able to do a last minute centerpiece that I'm getting for essentially free for my table when we entertain for the holidays. So as I said, a lot of these things you may have around your house, and as we go through the material list and we're creating, I'm going to give you some alternatives to give you some ideas to create your own custom arrangement. So we're just looking for things around the house and I want to spark some creativity for you. So the first thing that you will need is a vessel for your arrangement. So something that will hold water. So this could be a decorative dish, a candy dish even. It could just simply be a bowl because you will not see a lot of it, or you can create it in a way that you won't see the base too much. It could just be a vase without a hole. It could be even a jar, or if you have a basket or something that you need a liner for, you can line it with plastic, or even a solo cup or just a plastic container. So this is where you can get really creative and use what you have. I am going to tell you what the florists use in some of their tricks of the trade. So these are just inexpensive little centerpiece containers that I bought bulk, but you would have access to this maybe on Amazon or craft store, and I will put up some links in case you are interested in some of these supplies. So if you have these are great. I love how they have a little cutout for your floral foam, and then they have some little pegs to grip it in there while you're working. So these are great, and I may make one in this container too, just to show you what it looks like. So hot tip on containers, other than the fact that it can't have a drainage hole, is that it needs to be relatively low if you're going to be using it for your table, because it is no fun when you're having a dinner party and you're trying to look over your centerpiece. So you want to keep it a little lower so it will be comfortable when you're having dinner with your guests and you're having conversations. So that's the first thing you need. Number two is you're going to need some foam. And if you don't have it on hand, I'm going to give you an alternative, but I want to give you a quick little floral foam lesson before I do that. So this is the foam that we're going to be using, and this one is an Oasis floral foam. You can get this again online or at your craft store. And this is particularly for fresh flowers or fresh arrangements. And that's because we're going to be soaking it in water and it's going to hold water. And then you're going to keep adding water to your arrangement to keep it fresh so it will hold water. The other type of foam that you'll see in the craft stores is this foam, which is for dried flowers, does not hold water. So you can see here it even looks a little bit different. So just be sure if you are purchasing the foam that you're getting the foam for the fresh floral arrangements. Now another option is, if you don't have foam, chicken wire. So I'm just taking a little strip of chicken wire that I've had in the garage off of a roll and just crumpling it up. And you can just put it right in your container. So that's another option for you if you're looking to use things that you may have around the house. Okay, so floral foam. I also like it how it has these perforated lines here, which will kind of show you typically where you cut it, especially if you're using these little specialty dishes here. So my hot tip on this is that Normally, you will be taping your foam in the container. However, if you don't have floral tape on hand, to cut it so you're wedging it into your container. So you want it in there nice and secure, and if you don't have tape, then you want to cut it maybe just a little bit larger than the diameter of the container so we can really wedge it in there and secure it. So I'm going to be making the arrangement in this dish, and then again I'll make one out of this little dish here in a little bit so you can just see both. Give you a couple of options here. So once you cut your foam, then you're just going to want to soak the foam. So I just have a little container here with some water. And we're going to get that, let that get nice and saturated there. Okay, so while that is soaking, let's talk about some other materials. So we're going to be using 3 different materials in particular for our arrangements. Number 1 is the greenery or the filler. So now if you purchase a centerpiece at the grocery store or a florist, you're going to see a lot of fillers, which can be ferns, asparagus ferns, so a lot of different greeneries. But we're going to be using greenery that we have around the house. So we're going to go through that list in a minute. Number 2, we're going to be using some flowers. We don't have fresh flowers on hand. It's okay to use dried flowers. And then number 3, we're going to be using some embellishments. Now that's where you can really have some fun and you can think about your decor or your color scheme or whatnot, but you can really personalize your arrangement with that. So we're going to go through those as we make the arrangement, and we'll talk about some different options. So we're really thinking about a lot of texture here and color. So we want to play with both of those things. So just be thinking that as you're creating. So we have our foam soaking, and I think it's good enough to get started. So I'm going to take the larger piece here, and I can see that it's getting shaved down as we're pushing it in. And then we really want to push that down as far as we can so it's touching the bottom. So when you add water to it, it'll soak up. And then we can just go ahead and cut off any excess here. And then at the same time, I'm going to work on this arrangement as well. And so you can see here how nice this fits in here. Okay, so we talked briefly about floral tape. If you have some, it's great because it'll just hold it in here while you're working. This one is going to be fine without tape. I don't think we really need it on this either, but I just wanted to show you, if I can find where it starts here. I just wanted to show you what you do with the tape. So you're just going to be securing it and taping it right to the container. It comes in different widths, but I like it a little thinner because we don't want to take up any surface area where we're going to be putting our stems into. We want a nice full arrangement. All right, let's start with our greenery. Now we had some leftover greenery from wreath and garland making, so if you have that, that's great. If not, you can go out in your yard and forage or do some roadside foraging, or you can also trim some branches off of your Christmas tree. I've been known to do that. I'll take them off the bottom if I need a little greenery for a project. So what I have here is I have some of my dwarf Colorado spruce. I have some arborvitae. I have some pieris. Love this one. Dorothy Wyckoff. Beautiful little spent blooms there. And let's see, then we have some hemlock, which is a lot of fun if you can find some with some little cones on it. And then for some great texture, we have some white pine. So that's going to be plenty, more than enough for these two arrangements here. So just to give you some other ideas, if you have some rhododendron, some mountain laurel, some variegated euonymus, those are all really great fillers. So get creative. You can even trim off some houseplants if you have a little bit of ivy. That's a lot of fun too. All right, so I have my pruners out, and I like to cut the stems on a 45-degree angle because they will go into the foam nicely and secure. But we're going to have to trim some of these down. Now remember, you don't need very long branches because we want a nice low centerpiece. So here I just have fun greening it up. And remember to use the side of the foam as well. And if it is too tall, you can always give it a little bit of a haircut after. So I'm feeling like this might be too tall. And don't throw anything away until you're done, because you can always use these little pieces. And then I think I'm going to make the other one just a little bit different here. We'll use some different materials. So you want to push a 1/2 inch to 1 inch in the foam and just make sure that it's really secure. Okay, so now we have our centerpieces all greened up. So we want to try to cover the foam and put the greens in some different directions because we want to give it a little bit of width as well. And then you saw me giving this one a little bit of a haircut. So next we're going to be adding our flowers. So if you are at the grocery store and you want to pick up a little bouquet of some mini carnations or sweetheart roses, that's fantastic. If not, I have a few ideas for some other things around the house. So I had some flowers drying. You may have seen some videos where I love to bring the garden inside and dry some things for winter use. But some of these were older. So I have some celosia here, and this may have been some old statice or something. If you have some pods, those are great too. But I spray painted them to give them a new life. So I did a cranberry color, which you will often see the celosia in the red or cranberry, so it does look natural. So just some other ideas for you if you don't have some dried flowers is you can go out in your garden now, and if you haven't cut some things back, things like sedum or some upright irises or even your Russian sage, some lavender, some artemisia, go out there and cut that stuff, or even some grasses. And if they don't look great, all you need is a little bit of spray paint and you can give them new life and a pretty color that goes with your decor. So this is just what I'm going to be using in my arrangements today. And I'm going to grab my pruners because some of these will need to be cut down a little bit. So that might be a little bit too long. Yep. So that's a really pretty pop of color there. Very holiday-ish. So you just want to try to spread out your pops of color a little bit. So you can see how you really don't need a lot here. Okay, and last but not least, because this is probably my favorite part, is you want your embellishments. So this is how you really have fun with your arrangement and customize it. So just to give you some ideas, this is what I have on hand. So I have some artificial sugared fruit, pine cones, some ornaments, and I'm going to show you how to wire these things on. So some other mini glass ornaments, some ribbon, and then I also have some fake berries. Now you could use some berries from the gardens. You could use rose hips or winterberry if you have them. But even if you have some of those little berries that you use for gift wrap, those will work. We can wire those in. Any fun garland that you have. So like I said, just really have fun with this here. So we're just going to choose a couple things. We're not going to choose all of it. Another great thing is I like to dry fruit. So if you have like dehydrated apple slices or oranges, you can also use some of those. So get creative, and I would love to hear how you get creative. Make sure you let us know because this is the fun stuff. So I'd like to hear from all of you at home. All right, so to wire things in, so what the florists will use is a floral pick. This is their trick here. And so it's just a pick that will come in some different heights. This is a short one. I think it's about a 3-inch long, but for a project like this, a 10 or 12-inch pick is probably better, and it will have some wire attached to it for your embellishment. So my trick here is you can use, there's two options, skewers, and if they're too long, you can just cut them down. So these work great. Or in a pinch, you can use a stem from your greenery or your flowers. So a nice sturdy woody stem works great. So I'm going to show you how to use the skewers or the stems. It's essentially the same way. So you just cut them down to the desired height. And you can put your bows or your embellishment on them. These are nice because they'll also blend in with your arrangement. All right, so I definitely want to use the berries, so I'm just going to cut some of these off, and we will get them wired onto our homemade picks. And so all you will do is, if they already have wire on them, great. If not, just take a little bit of wire and cut some strips and wire your embellishments right on. Okay, so I mentioned some ribbon or some bows as an option. So you could do one larger and put this on a pick, or you could do a bunch of mini bows and then bounce them around your centerpieces. So I also have just some inexpensive garland. And so if you'd like, you can just, because it's wired, you can kind of weave it around your centerpiece. So I have seen a lot of this used as gift wrap and comes in silver and gold. So that's also really pretty. Or you could even do some mini lights. So we can wire these in and we would have to hide the battery pack here. So just a couple other options. All right, so let's show you what we have here. This is in my little, I think it was a candy dish that my grandma had. It's really pretty. And then we have this one here, which we made out of the plastic florist centerpiece here. And so you can see how just the plastic green vase just blends right in. So you're barely going to see that on the table. All right, now sometimes when you see the centerpieces, it'll have a candle in the center, or the other option is if you don't have a candle and you do want something in the center as a focal point, you could use a Christmas ornament. And I just did that. I had one kicking around. It was a reindeer. I believe it was gold or silver. I might have a picture of that for you. And I put that right in the center of my daughter Hannah's arrangement. So scour your house for some ornaments. Okay, we have a couple of candle options here. Now this is what the florists use. So it has a little pick on the bottom and your candle just sets right in there. So that'll help it be a little sturdier. But honestly, we're making these arrangements out of what we have, and you can just use your candle. And if you can find a bare spot in the center of your arrangement in the foam, you would just go ahead and push that right in the foam. And that's it. Pretty great, right? All out of things that we had. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. It's the holidays. I hope you enjoy holidays. Wishing you peace, love, and a very happy new year. But if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing to our channel because we have a lot more gardening videos and gardening craft videos coming your way.